I'm Allie Cartwright, and this is Q and Allie. You've got questions, and I've got insight. And this week, we are talking about healing generational trauma. So we just had Halloween yesterday, and so there's been a lot of talk about the veil is thinning. Now, of course, the veil is always thin. It's a veil. But there is this sense of connection with those that have gone before us from this life experience. And so that makes this a really, really good time to look at the generational trauma that exists within your family line. So this week on our meditation moment, we're doing a meditation that involves connecting with a loved one who has gone before us. Now, this can be any loved one. It doesn't have to be a family member, but for the purposes of this week's theme, of course, connecting with a deceased family member is really helpful because they can give you wisdom as to what sorts of generational trauma really would be most beneficial for you to work on healing. And so to connect with someone that is deceased, what you're really doing with this meditation is you're tapping into the part of them that lives inside of you, because every single being that you have come across in this life, there is a piece of them that lives within you. Because honestly, like every person you meet, a different version of them exists within each person's mind. There's a different version of you existing within the mind of every single person that you've come across, because we all have different experiences with people, and that causes us to have different relationships with them and different opinions, and you see what I'm saying. So with this meditation, you're really, really strongly connecting to the piece of them that lives inside of you, and through that you're connecting to the piece of them that exists as a whole, because of course we are all one. Everything in existence is made of energy. It's just one thing, energy. That's all that exists. You are energy. The things around you are energy. Everything is energy. So we're all one, but of course we're all also separate. So I hope that makes sense. To do this meditation, what you're going to do is you're going to get settled in, and then you're going to imagine yourself walking down a garden path. And as you're walking down the garden path, you can take in the surroundings, the smells and the sights and the sounds and the feel, everything that you feel around you, just kind of take that in. And as you walk down this garden path, you come to a bench. And sitting on this bench is the loved one that you need to connect with in this moment. And you can have someone in mind, but you can also just see who shows up. There's actually a lot of power in allowing whoever wants to show up, because sometimes you don't consciously know who you really need advice from in the moment, but your intuition knows. Your subconscious, it knows deep down within what's going to best benefit you at the moment. So it's okay if you choose who to see, because you could be really tuned into who you need, but it's also really, really great if you can just let it be whoever shows up. So then you simply sit down at the bench with them and allow yourself to converse with them. See what they have to say, see what they need to convey. And it's really relaxing to have this time with someone that you don't get to have time with in the physical world anymore. There's just something profoundly peaceful about it, and it's really enjoyable. And you can let this conversation go on for as long as you choose. You can keep it short, it can be long, whatever is right for you. And then after they convey what they need to convey to you, then you simply bid them farewell and you get up and you continue walking down the path, and then start to bring yourself back. Thank yourself for taking the time. Bring yourself back to awareness of the room around you, of your body, and come out of the meditation. It's such a wonderful meditation. I use this meditation to connect with my late father a lot. Sometimes more than other times, kind of depends on what's going on in life. But those that have gone before us often have a lot clearer insight about what sorts of generational trauma exists, and they can have really, really great insight into how you can help break free of that. And there's so many different ways that we go through generational trauma. One big one, for example, that I know exists in my family line is abundance trauma, this belief in that we're going to be impoverished forever, and that money is scarce and that we can't attain it unless we do things that are immoral, which none of that's true, of course, but that's really, really deeply set into the energy of our DNA. And so that's a really big one for me personally to work on, healing. And, it's brought a lot of abundance into my life to work on that. There's tons of other kinds of generational trauma as well. This has actually been a really big topic this year with all of the increased conversation about racial issues. People of color have a lot of generational trauma attached to the abuse that their ancestors went through. I'm not an expert on this, but that's a huge thing. That's a huge, huge thing. And it can be really, really empowering to take a look at that and become aware of it. Which actually leads us right into our mindful moment for the week, which is simply to really notice the issues that seem to run in the family. When you look at your relatives and their struggles, you usually will see patterns of things that a lot of people in your family go through, a lot of your people in your family struggle with, and maybe you do too. And just being mindful of those things, it's such an amazing gift to yourself, because we're not, it's not about judging like, oh man, boy, do I suck at abundance. It's all my family's fault. That's not really helpful. It's not about being judgy. It's about being aware and giving yourself grace and figuring out how you can heal from it. And of course, depending on what your generational trauma is, what you're working on, there's different ways to go about healing it. So we can't really get into specifics too much there. But when you allow yourself to be mindful of them, then you can go start to research what you can do to help yourself. And that finally brings us to our mantra moment for the week, which is I learn from my family history and heal generational wounds. And when you take the time to repeat something like this, you're just setting that truth into your DNA. You're setting that intention. You're telling every fiber of your being that this is something that you want to work past, that you want to heal. And it's not even just for you. When it's generational trauma, you're also doing it for future generations. Even if you don't have children, it's still helping to heal that generational pattern in your whole family. So you working on that trauma can help your nieces and nephews. It can help your children. It can help anyone in your family line. Okay, everyone, that is this episode of Q and Allie. I hope you feel so empowered as you go about examining and learning how you can heal generational trauma that exists within you for your benefit and the benefit of your entire family, past, present, and future. Again, I'm Allie Cartwright, and I hope that you live fully, laugh lots, and love yourself.